Welcome back to the Better Love Podcast. It is my pleasure to be having, for the first time on our show, Justin Balik, the co-founder of Wealth InsurED, based in Florida. I believe you're near Miami. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, Broward. So we're like just 45 minutes away from Miami. Yeah, more Fort Lauderdale. People might know.
Fort Lauderdale, great. Sunny Florida, and I happen to be, but thankfully I'm in sunny Toronto. It's fine. The summer is the time when I'm not as envious of your weather. We're kind of equal.
I'm with you on that.
Have you ever been to Canada?
I've only been to Banff, which was gorgeous. Yeah, we stayed at the Fairmont there. I mean, it's, gorgeous. The way I describe it is it looks like Hogwarts, basically.
Oh my gosh.
It's like a castle in the middle of the mountains.
I know. Super nice. Well, Justin, today I am going to pick your brain and share with my audience what I know about you, including your lovely wife, which is the part two, or the co-founder together. So really want to talk about that story, how you connected. And for those who don't know, they have a thriving business, and we are now working together on some content. And really, I really want to just highlight your journey and your story, because, a lot of people who see a successful couple or see the success don't see the struggle, right? And I love the fact that both of you have put yourself in a position now where you started in struggle. I mean, you weren't at your position now, and then have literally worked your way to a position where you're now helping others, go through a similar path of success that you have, both from a personal standpoint and really in a very key area of people's lives, and that is in their personal finance and having freedom and building wealth. So let's start there. Can you share a little bit about what you do and your company with the services that you provide for people?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Carmelia, for having me on today. It's been amazing. Seriously, me and Sydney love you. From the first time we spoke, we were like, oh my gosh, this lady gets us. And we've been loving it. So thank you for that. So yeah, I started in insurance 11 years ago. That's where I got my start, which is kind of crazy. I mean, most people don't think I've done anything for that amount of time, but I'm 34 now. So I started when I was 23, straight out of college. And we kind of worked our way up, starting, just learning how to do the business, then kind of building team, then becoming top in the company that we were at, and then starting our own company. And now we've kind of are much more in line with being more like a family office than an insurance agency. So we help people with creative tax mitigation strategies and different alternative retirement programs that most people don't even know exist. And to not bore you with details, okay, because I know that can be overwhelming, but just to kind of give a 10,000 foot view of kind of some of the things that we've done. In the last couple of weeks, we helped one guy get a $2 million tax credit, okay? And we have another one that got a $1.5 million tax credit. So essentially, they can use it over the next 6 years, and all of that money that they get to make is 100% tax-free, or they can use it in different ways. So this is just like very 10,000 foot view, some of the things that we can help people with.
Well, let me ask you, how happy is that person when you turn around and you get to deliver the news that, hey, we just, found $1 million, saved $1 million? What does that look like, and what's their face like?
Elated. I mean, I'll tell you what, it's crazy to me, Carmelia. You would think that someone that has a $10 million net worth has all their stuff figured out. They don't. Okay. I'm telling you, I can't tell you, every single week we come across people that are worth 10 million, 20 million, and we're talking to them about things that their attorneys, their CPAs, their financial advisors, none of them have a clue about. It's just insane to me. And so, when you get to help someone like that at a level, and you basically become one more person on their team that's providing more value than a lot of those people, all of a sudden they start liking you a lot. Okay.
Yeah. You probably get a few perks, and you're making how many years have you been in the financial services industry, from when you first were hired by that former company. Okay,
Yep.
we're not gonna name names, but
Nope.
when you entered that former company, did you come in as a mutuals broker? Like what did you come in
Nope.
as, and how young were
Yeah.
you at the time?
So, okay, let me back up a second. Okay. So
Okay.
I actually I grew up in California. I came out to Florida to go to University of Miami. Okay. And most people, I was just talking to someone about this yesterday, thought that I studied finance or something like that. No, I was actually studying neuroscience with a minor in chemistry and psychology. And I was shadowing under the chief of neurosurgery at hospitals. So I was looking to be a neurosurgeon. Okay. But here's the problem with that, Carmelia, is I found out after 4 years of college that I hated school. Okay. This is not a good program if you're going to be a neurosurgeon. Okay. Because in order for me to do that, I would have had 4 years of medical school and then another 9 to 13 years of residency. So I still wouldn't be a doctor today, a full surgeon. All right. So the good news is that becoming a doctor is kind of a weeding out process. They weeded me out. Okay. I got weeded out. It's great though, because you don't want a lackadaisical surgeon. You don't want someone coming in being like, I wondered how this is going to go today. You know what I mean? Like, ain't nobody got time for that. So I kind of had, the way I describe it is I had a midlife crisis at 23 because I thought that I was going to be a doctor. I had no other path in life. I had no other direction. And this kind of fell into my lap. I literally had someone call me out of the blue and say, hey, we're looking for some people that want to make some extra money. I said, I'm in. They said, do you want to know what we do? I said, you said money, right? And they said, yes. And I said, I'm in. So that was 6 months after I graduated college. This literally fell in my lap. I was 23 and broke as a joke and needed something to generate some income. So
Were you
that's
still
how I got
living at
started.
home at the time though? Were you at least with your parents at the age of 23?
No, absolutely not. I was living in a high rise in Miami. So for between like 23 and 30 or so, I lived all over Miami, different places in Brickell, Biscayne, yeah, Coral Gables, all up in that area. And so none of that's cheap.
Right.
Even a one-bedroom apartment's not cheap.
Right.
So I had to make money fast.
Okay. And so you had no training, no prior experience in financial services. However, they trained you, but you didn't want to learn in an like in an educational, like a institutional facility. However, it would be apparent that you would have learned faster or you learned quickly because what did you learn about yourself? You surprised yourself being in the industry. What did you notice, and what was that first year like for you?
I was terrible when I started. Okay. So I'll say, and again, not to get into boring details, but I literally have never met an agent that was worse than me when I started. Okay.
That's
No joke.
reassuring. That's
I,
reassuring given that I know where you are right now, right? That's
well,
amazing.
thank you. I appreciate that. And kind of what I tell people is look, as long as you don't quit, we have a 100% success rate with people that don't quit. That's it. But the problem is people's dreams are so damn small. It's like, look, check this out. If this is the size of the obstacle that stopped you, what I just found out about you is that this was the size of your dream.
I
That's
love
it.
that.
I'm
Okay.
serious. It's
Yeah.
like when we would have meetings in Miami. Okay. Now, understand this in Miami, and people wouldn't show up to a meeting because it's raining outside. Do you understand
Yeah.
how often it rains in South Florida? It's like every other day.
Okay.
They got teleported here, and it's like, oh, you can't go anywhere because it's raining. How do you live? So now
Yeah.
I just found out that rain was more important than them getting ahead in life. That's crazy to me. So
Yeah. So you were bad. And then what was there a pivot or was there a moment? What changed from going to you're the worst guy, no one's buying from you to you become somebody that, the light bulb in your head or you're lit up? I mean, when was that? Was there a moment or
so
did you just have a big why? And that's the other question I wanted to know is what was your why at 23 years old?
You know, I don't know what it was that made me do this because I was never like ultra serious about anything in life prior to this. So it's really strange that I
Okay.
literally went from there to all in. Okay. But what kept me with doing it is that my mentors in the business, there were too many people that I cared about and trusted that were making money in this business for it to not work. See, even when I was terrible, what I never did, Carmelia, is blame anyone other than myself.
So Justin, I'm really curious about how your relationship transitioned from work relationship, sort of even mentor mentee, because there was an age gap there. You're her leader, you're more successful in the business. A lot of people would be looking at that, particularly following Me Too movement. Like, how do I navigate this, situation? Do I make a move? Do I not make a move? You're, older, you're in a position of power, and you're in a team environment. I've always thought that, because I've worked in financial services before. I don't know if I shared that with you or not. I even had my life license at one point. But where we were at back when I had my license, people were dating like it was a free for all. Everyone was dating everybody. Anybody who was single would be dating everybody. There wasn't necessarily HR, in a team
Right.
environment. And now that you have a team, I'm sure you're creating a culture or discussing like what you can or can't do, in the office or whatever. So share with me more about that. What happened in your connection, and was it comfortable, uncomfortable? I'd love to hear that story.
Yeah, absolutely. So initially when I met Sydney, I actually, she came into the business at 18, and I was doing the training at the first meeting she ever came to, ironically enough. Okay,
Okay.
so she was in a relationship though at that time when she came in, but we didn't start talking until a year and a half later or so.
Okay.
Okay. And funny enough, there was actually a culture that we had at that agency where it was not, it was like frowned upon for people to be in a relationship or anything with other agents. So it
Okay.
was kind of like a no. Okay.
So there was a
So
discussion, there was a protocol or a discussion about it.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, because the idea is most of the time, statistically, these type of things don't work out. And
Yes.
then you might lose a high producing agent or something like that. Okay.
Right.
What had happened was, is about a year and a half after we initially had met, she was no longer in a relationship. I was going out in a yacht party essentially, and I said,
Yeah.
"Hey, can you pick me up because I'm not going to be able to drive? Can you just drop me off at home?" And she said, "Absolutely, no problem." So she did that, and that was about an hour drive, and during that hour we had a phenomenal conversation. She dropped me off, and that was kind of how we started talking. From there, just kind of, the next time we were like, "Hey, do you want to hang out? Let's go get something to eat, blah blah blah," right?
Hang out.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey.
I mean, it was clear that you weren't doing kitchen table meetings. It pivoted to spending personal time, really getting to know each other on a different level. Correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
What did you guys say to each other? Hey, you're really different, because you mentioned that on the car ride she saw something in you that she didn't see before. Is Justin more playful? Are you silly? Like, are you this? I don't know what you're like at work. We've never worked
Yeah.
together, but I do know that you take your role and your responsibility seriously. But what could you say about each other when you're not at work? What did
I
she see
think
different?
I think what happened during that time, and she'll tell you in her own words, right? But what she has said to me essentially was, when she had met me, that I was very arrogant or cocky, I guess you could say, right? And she's not attracted to that at all. Some
Right.
people are. She was not at all. And on that ride down, she saw another more soft side of me, and
Mm,
she was like, "Oh, I see, this is really what's underneath the vibrato," right?
right.
So I guess that was what happened. She softened me, saw that, and she was really attracted to that. And so
What were you
and I
really attracted to?
well, She's gorgeous, obviously, but also just having the mutual respect that we had of seeing her as a rising star in the business, the ambition, everything else, right? And so coming back to what I had talked about with the list of like your ideal mate, here's what was interesting is that I was like, I wonder if I still have this, okay?
Oh, you
And
looked for the list?
so about a year or maybe 6 months into us dating or something like this, I was like, let me go find it. And I went and found this list. And not only was she every single one of those 15 things that I listed, she was 1,000 other things that I didn't even know that I wanted. But now that I've had her and seen those things, I couldn't live without.
You know I want this list, right? You
Oh,
know
yeah.
you need to find this list because literally here's a couple of things I really love about your story. Number one, so many people that I've interviewed and we're talking, I'll just call them successful couples that are still married after a great deal of time. They still like each other. They still
Yep.
enjoy each other's
Yep.
company. Staying married and having a successful relationship, just being married isn't success per se. We're
Nope.
talking about two people or a couple that would define their relationship as happy and fulfilling. It's not problem free, but they're very happy in their relationship. By all means, they're partners in life, right? And in
Yep.
your case, partners in business. I love the fact that it's you sort of have subconsciously or maybe very consciously manifested the woman that you saw yourself marrying. Secondly, you had intent, like you took the time to say, hey, if I were looking and I am ready, these are the things that I would like her to have, right? But even before, you had said, not only that, am I those things? You talked about writing a list and then reflecting back and saying, am I on that list? I'll share with you because I've been in the dating industry for over 32 years. Most people write a list to fulfill on things that they don't have. And so they're looking for someone with that. Like now I've got half a cup of water here, but we're
There
talking
you
even a empty cup mentality, right? Like that a partner, they're looking for someone to fill their cup and not, come to it with something overflowing. Because when you are rich, as you said, not only were there 15, there were 1,000 more. You didn't even say 10, you said 1,000. And probably you discover new things every day, every experience
absolutely.
that are either reminders of why you chose your partner and why she chose you, or evidence or just solidification, reassurance. Yeah, that's why we're married. And
Yeah.
now you get to see her as a mom. Let's stop there for a moment. Before you even
Mm.
did all that, was there ever a conversation in your mind or in her mind? Did you lead with the attraction and not think of consequences? Or did you both think about, how are we going to do this? Are we going to navigate this? Who do we tell? Should we wait? Like, talk to me about that, because this is a real life scenario for people who are maybe interested in someone romantically. They'd like to find somebody in their field. Some people choose, like I've had a lot of lawyers that have said, I'm not dating any lawyers. There are some industries where they don't want to date their opposite, their partner in the same industry.
Right.
Yet you guys are in finance and you're making it work. So
Yeah.
what would you say?
Yeah. Well, I want to touch on a few things because you said so many good things. And then I want to come back to that question. Okay.
Okay.
Is the first thing is, one time I was talking to Sydney
Mm.
and I was like, you know what? I know why. By the way, first thing I'll say is just because we're talking about that, relationship and money too, like
Yeah.
we always happy. Okay. Let me say this foundationally, we were always happy when we had no money. We were happy. When we've had money, we were happy. Okay.
Right.
I'll tell you, being happy with money is better. I'll just say that. Okay. But understand that it's an internal contentment thing that you have to have. The money
Right.
does not give you the happiness,
Sure.
although it does make things easier. Okay.
Yes.
Especially when you're not here. And that's another thing is in the 7 years we've been together, we have never once had a fight or a discussion or whatever about money. Okay.
Mm. Well,
Entirely.
here's the thing. which you may or may not know, and for those who are listening and who've listened to previous podcasts, according to Dr. Terry Orbuch, the Love Doctor, there's 5 key areas that are important to have compatibility with in order to have long-term, sustainable, happy relationships. One of those areas is to have the same views about money, career, and money. Okay. Now you both worked in the same financial services industry, and therefore, like, that I think is a great foundation and a solid kind of like risk-free entry into a relationship, because most people who are dating, particularly when they have no context of them, they've never worked with them, they don't know their finances, they avoid the discussion about money. And then it becomes problematic because they're now intimately involved, they're emotionally involved, and then money's on the table that they've never talked about.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely. So there's that. And then you also talked about like having a glass that you're coming to somebody, and essentially what you were saying is that they're coming to get something. Okay.
Yes.
So something else that we realized years ago is that one of the reasons that we have been happy this entire time, and that our love just continues to grow and we keep getting closer and closer, not further apart as time goes on. I mean, I know for some people that have been married, 40 years, 7 years doesn't seem like a lot. When she's 20 and, now she's 27, these are a big part of your life. Okay.
Yeah.
And so one of the foundational things that we realize is that we're always trying to outgive each other.
Oh, love that.
That's the big, and it's not like it's just an innate thing. And it's like if you don't want to just do everything for that person, maybe it's not the right person. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
That's a grit. I mean, you didn't even like, I didn't know we were getting a masterclass in dating advice. Like, come on now. I think you should have another career in date coaching or relationship coaching, because everything that you're just dropping gems everywhere. All right, Justin, where can my viewers follow you? And you've got something exciting coming up as well. Share with everybody where they can find you.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram with my name, Justin Balik. And also, we are launching our own podcast, the Get Paid Cast, baby. Okay. Well, we'll be talking all things entrepreneurship, money, fun. It's going to be good. We'd love to see you on there.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah. I think what I love about what you do, not just for couples, like individuals, because, people who are just looking for a relationship, you mentioned that you and Sydney were happy without money, when you had no money or not a lot of money, and even when you had money. And you might have periods where you have money, you don't have money. You have, like, we don't know. You just added a child, right? Like, hopefully the trajectory is forward. But, you're helping a lot of people with improving their finances and planning for retirement and leaving legacy. What is it that you guys are really, really good at? I mean, both you and Sydney, and what would you say your special or unique gift is to people who are coming to look for your help and support? That way, my listeners, I want the right people to be able to come to you. When should they be talking to you?
Absolutely. So here's the cool thing. We kind of have it on a continuum, meaning we literally have people that are just trying to either build their wealth. Okay. And when I say build wealth, we have clients that are putting away $500 a month. Okay. Because they just want to start with something.
Yep.
Okay. All the way to, we have clients that have a business that's doing $400 million a year and they have an income of $50 million. We have programs all the way along that continuum, and we kind of get more and more attractive the more money you make, because of some of these creative tax mitigation strategies that we have and different stuff that most people don't even know about or have access to. So we can help somebody that's just trying to start out and trying to put some money away and grow some wealth, all the way to people that have some wealth that are trying to protect that wealth or pay in less in taxes.
I love that. All right. Well, I will make sure to post all of your links. I cannot wait for the Get Paid cast. And I hope that I hope that I'll get a chance to talk about getting paid with, not only, by the way, I will say, because I'm getting to know Justin and Sydney, if you want to have a career in this industry, and maybe meet your, if you're single, and maybe you meet your life partner. I don't know. I don't know if they can promise that. You're in a good circle. And to that note, I've had such a great time with you, Justin. I would love to have you back. I would love to dive deeper on, because we are a relationship podcast focused on relationships and entrepreneurship, who your support system is, the importance of the relationships of the people who are parallel to you and above you, mentorship, and those that are good for your family, and who to avoid. Right? Because as you elevate, I'm sure your friend circle looks slightly different than what it was 10 years ago. Yes or no?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Great. And then maybe you can leave, if there's something that you've learned about, maybe the best advice you were given about, and then secondly, a piece of relationship advice that has stuck with you based on the fact that you live and work with your co-founder and spouse. Not everybody can do that, but it's great that you found alignment and that you seem to have a great foundation. So let's start with those two things. What's two pieces of advice, one on business and one on love?
So I would say in business, you're not as far away as you think. It's a depth perception problem. The problem is a lot of times you're only 4 feet from gold. All you have to do is simply keep pushing forward and outlast the competition, okay? And secondly, in terms of if you're going to work with a spouse, I'll say this. Most people say, I don't know how you can work with your spouse. For me, I don't know how I couldn't work with my spouse. And I feel so fortunate because I have another layer to my relationship that most people never get to experience, which is building something together. That is a phenomenal feeling, okay? But I'll say this is one of the pieces of advice that I got early on before I had a spouse or before I had a girlfriend or anything, but I learned this so that I could teach other couples that I had in my business, which is if you're gonna be in business with your spouse, don't ever, and I'm saying ever, try and coach your spouse in the business. Never do that, okay? Because you start crossing those lines, baby, it is not a good program. If you have a mentor or something like that, if your spouse needs to do something different, tell your mentor and let your mentor tell them, okay? You don't be the person to do that. That's not a good program.
Preach. My God, can I just steal you for the next 24 hours and let's just talk about, I love that. I'm just inclined to do a follow-up question there. How do you, and here's the thing, why that resonates. You know how many people right now are like, yes, like there are times where you have to have conversations about work, but when you say coaching, is it really in corrective behavior or
okay. Yes. Right. You can, we talk about the business all the time, but I don't say, hey, you should do, or she's on me about the things that I should do. No, hell no. Okay. Yeah, that is a boundary you don't cross.
Did you guys know that, or did you just, was it common sense to you, or you just both believed it?
That was something I was taught in the business. Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yes. Okay. Before I was even in a relationship. Absolutely.
I love that. Well, that is the perfect way to end our segment. Justin, thank you so much. Again, you've been listening to Justin Balik, the co-founder of Wealth InsurED. We talked about relationships, what he chooses in the right partner, how to be someone to attract the right partner, and a lot of tips on success for life, love, and business. I can't wait to have you back. And thank you for the conversation. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye.